What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today, we're going to talk to you about SoFi. Give you a quick overview of some of the data points, what really moved it, and go over everything else that you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So SoFi did go up 1.82%, 1579 the high, 1517 the low. So very volatile day. I'll go over the technicals near the end. That'll make a little bit more sense. But today you did have low volume, 34.4 million for that. 51.1 is the average. Wasn't just SoFi, it was kind of across the board. So anticipate for this whole week most likely to be lower volume, especially tomorrow. The market does close at 1. Wednesday, the market is fully closed in lieu of Christmas. So Merry Christmas to those that celebrate. But even looking on the secondary market, you didn't see that many in transactions. So again, don't be worried about that in my opinion. So this week is just going to be lower volume, but it's still going to be following the technical. So still somewhat good in SoFi's case, but fintechs for the most part were down. So the only thing that really came out that positively could affect SoFi was Biden and student debt. So I'll talk on that in a second, but so far today, no actual news associated to SoFi itself. There was a 144 that just came out at 434, so roughly less than an hour ago, and it did show this individual right here. So Kelly, who is a officer, did sell 27,000 shares, and that was done today. So you've seen a lot of this just with SoFi and across the board. So there is that blackout commencing in roughly 1 week. So I think just a lot of individuals are seeing stocks at pretty much all-time highs in some cases. So they want to just collect some profits, get paid, and that's basically it. The market doesn't seem to care all that much, which is kind of weird because with right now the fear and greed index under the fear category, normally the market would react to a lot of these kind of selling things, but it's not. And I think a lot of people are actually questioning this right here on why it is under the fear category. In my opinion, I would say it would be under the greed or even extreme greed. In my pre-market video, I bring up a lot of spec plays that are getting a lot of volume and they are going up like crazy, which normally doesn't happen under the fear category. But there was a ton of stocks even this morning just up like 30-40% based off of very little news. So I think there is also at the same time a big market rotation that is starting to happen. So I have been analyzing and kind of monitoring this. So from money markets, week over week, there was $19.61 billion that left. And based on what's been happening with crypto and getting very low volume, it is fair to assume that that 19.61 billion did leave money markets and went to equities. So again, that's kind of a good thing. I think this is just the tip of the iceberg on what will be happening overall, and there will be that big market rotation similar to what happened between 2020 and 2021. So again, stay tuned for that. But a lot of people were bringing up this about the whole Biden administration kind of canceling the student debt. So the reason why I didn't really bring this up is because SoFi essentially has rotated out of that, and they've been kind of pulling back over the like 2.5 years or whatever else. So it's not, in my opinion, it wasn't that big of a deal. And even of SoFi, so under the members, under the umbrella, majority of them didn't even qualify for this. So normally, again, going into today, I didn't really think it was that big of a deal, but SoFi actually did outperform a lot of the other fintechs. So many of them were actually red today. So clearly the market did like this in some regard. It wasn't like a 10+% day, what some people were forecasting, but it still did clearly get some attention from Wall Street. So again, I just wanted to kind of share that. But aside from that though, shorts did increase 1.12 million shares today. So once again, kind of breaking that downtrend that they have been on, where they've been returning for the greater part of like month, 2 months almost. But 12.56% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 133.79 or 73 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost of borrow average 0.45, and then the minimum is 0.26. So we haven't seen that negative in roughly a week and a bit. So that broker has clearly gone on hiatus or something else. I'm not really sure, but even just generally looking at that teal line, shorts just slowly increased throughout the day. So they didn't really do any abrupt changes or whatever else. So something to kind of keep in mind. Moving over to options, 16 million in calls, 3.98 million in puts. 46% of all the options being done were optimistic in nature. And so this kind of matches with the common stock, so kind of lowish volume, but still goes to show that big money is looking at it and it's on radar. But of the call options that are being purchased today, you see a consensus for it to be above roughly that $17.50 to $18 range, so pretty good for that. And then you do see some good consensus for it to be above roughly $20 by January 17th, 2025. So still a lot of optimism for that. The bears, though, are anticipating for it to be sub roughly $14.50 to $14, which is kind of weird. So I've covered a couple other stocks, and oddly, there is, based on this and as well other stocks, bears are anticipating a pullback, even though there isn't really any data points coming out this week to kind of justify that or that would prompt that. So that is somewhat abnormal in my opinion. But as of right now, with it at 1563, it is trading between these 2 points, so this pivot and this S1. 1471 is going to be the next strong support. 1571 is going to be the next strong kind of target slash resistance. So kind of did break above that momentarily, but not enough for it to really stay there. So kind of just take note of some of the strong support and resistance points. And then aside from that, on the actual chart itself, so it was able to fight above that ALMA, so 1548. So that's going to be a key one to really watch for tomorrow. And then, as I mentioned in a couple of my videos in the past, this right here, 1438, that is kind of like a make it or break it point for SoFi, at least in the short term. So if there's some consolidation or whatever else, just watch for that to kind of for it to close above that. So I think 2 days ago, when was that? Wednesday, Friday, if I remember correctly, there was that crazy day that it did touch below that. I think 1407 the low for that day. Of course, that was quadruple witching day, but I think in general it was able to bounce off of that and kind of trend higher. But still going forward, just kind of take note of that. As far as this goes, so no new analyst ratings, so same old. So last one was done 4 days ago. Sell rating, $13 sell, Morgan Stanley, Jeffrey, who has a 44% success rating. So kind of comical if you ask me about these kind of subpar downgrades and sells by Morgan Stanley, JPM, or Bank of America, not JPM, but JPM right here. So they did give a 16, but yeah, honestly, I am just waiting for these two clowns still to give ratings. But I think in general, once SoFi's next earnings, that might be that next catalyst to really turn everyone into double-digit ratings, and then possibly even from there, some kind of in the high maybe 20s possibly. That would be very, very symbolic of SoFi's transition into kind of bigger and better things. But let me know your thoughts on SoFi. This is basically everything that kind of moved it today. Just this week is going to be relatively quiet, so just be aware of that. So you're not going to see any crazy news, no fireside chats, no speculative things to really talk on. So yeah, I think the market might still try to digest on what this means for SoFi, and then shorts will just be doing their thing. So kind of just let me know your thoughts on that. And with it being a relatively shorter week, just take note of some of the kind of open interest ones. So you have roughly at that $16 strike price, you have 12,000, then 8,000 at that 16.50, 13,000 at that 7. Below that, not really all that much. So shorts as well as market makers might have a financial interest in keeping it below 16, possibly 16.50. So again, just kind of keep note of that for this upcoming Friday. So let me know your thoughts. Did you buy? Did you sell? Did you do some options, locking in profits, bullish, bearish? Have you done any options? So let me know your viewpoint. One final thing I just wanted to share with you though, I launched a Patreon roughly around a month and a half ago. A lot of stocks have been hitting absolute like home runs, so a lot of bangers on there. So pop over there and take a look. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.